Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 21, we have some very challenging teachings from the Apostle Paul. There he's teaching us how to have a love that's without hypocrisy. And there's some things in there that can really be challenging for us, ways in which we demonstrate love that would be very much counterintuitive. Things such as bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. He talks about never paying back evil for evil to anyone, respecting what is good in the sight of all men. If your enemy is hungry, feed him, and if he is thirsty, give him a drink. All these different things, these can be very challenging teachings. And I think that it's important to understand that these teachings actually come at a very appropriate place in the book of Romans. The Apostle Paul didn't just start the book of Romans with these instructions. They came after he's already reminded them of the fact that they have received the mercy of God, that they are who they are, not based on works of the law, but through grace. After he has reminded them of the fact that they have died to sin and been buried with Christ in baptism, the old self had been crucified. After he had talked about them dying to the law, but then also walking according to the Spirit, and then going through and talking about the wonderful way in which God was working through the Jews to reach the Gentiles, and then the Gentiles to reach the Jews. And then he goes on to say that we should be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And so all of this precedes these instructions. And that's important for us to understand. You know, if we just look at this list and just look at it as just that, some checklist that we put on our refrigerator door, and we just say, okay, well, I'm just going to muster up enough strength to love my enemies. I'm just going to try to pull myself up by the bootstraps and just work diligent at keeping everything in this list. In all likelihood, we're not going to be very successful. All of this can only be accomplished when we have already been transformed by the renewing of our minds. And whenever we have had the knowledge of all the mercy God has shown us, what our baptism was truly about in regards to us dying to sin and dying to self, when we think about and are encouraged to then set our mind on the Spirit and to reflect on all the things that God has done, and when we have this enduring hope within us, and all these things that we've read about in the book of Romans, after all of those things have been utilized to transform us through the renewing of our minds, then we're in a position then to go out and love, as Paul is speaking about here. And so it's not that we should just see this as a list to just go out and do. We must first be transformed by the renewing of our minds. It's those that have been transformed by this new way of thinking, this new approach to life, this new identity that they have in Christ. Then when a person has that, then they are set up to then go out and live this selfless life that we're being called to live in Romans chapter 12, verses 9 through 21. And so, yes, let's see this as instructions for moral conduct. It is that. But let's not just merely think of it as that. This really is the outgrowth of a renewed life. And this is just the natural fruit that is born by those who have been renewed and transformed. And if we try to bear the fruit without being renewed and transformed, it's going to be very challenging. So let's remember to always have the truths that we've learned in the book of Romans in the forefront of our minds, and allow those truths then to influence our life so that we can fulfill these instructions that the Apostle Paul is giving. And we can have a love that is without hypocrisy, that is sincere, that is consistent, and that is in line with the love that God has for us. So these are things we can reflect on and think about as we do reading today. With that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.